Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and I hope you're practicing staying home and keeping busy. I just want to let you know I miss seeing your faces every day, and I wanted to send you a short video of what I'm up to this morning. So my boys are still sleeping, and so I thought I would surprise them and make them some French toast, and I thought I would share with you how I'm going to make that, and maybe that's something that you could do for your family while you're at home. So I'm going to step back a little bit and go through all the directions with you. So I started off and I've already cracked some eggs in here, so I've got 2 more to crack. I'm going to be making probably about 12 pieces of French toast, and so I use about 1 egg for about every 2 pieces of French toast. So crack your eggs, make sure that when you crack them you don't get any shells in the bowl. The other thing is when I choose my bowl for my French toast, I choose this bowl because it has a nice flat bottom, so that when I get down in my batter, I don't have very much left. Then I still have enough for those last few pieces of bread to sop that up. So once you have your eggs cracked, check again, make sure there are no shells in them. Save those shells, you can compost them, and that's gonna help your garden this spring. So grab your whisk and just whisk these up a little bit. And then you're going to add some milk. Now, normally I would add heavy cream or half and half, but because we're limited on the amount of times we can go to the grocery store, I'm saving that for my coffee, and that's gonna make everybody a lot happier. So grab you a measuring cup and whatever kind of milk or heavy cream, half and half, whatever you have, believe me, it is gonna be better if you put heavy cream or half and half in it, but my kids won't know the difference. So do about 1.5 cups of milk. Pour that in there. If you like your French toast to be a little bit eggier, then maybe do a little bit less milk. Give that a good whisk. And then you gotta add a little bit of seasoning to it. So hang on, I'm gonna throw this back in the fridge. And we're gonna add some spices. So first thing I'm gonna add, this isn't a spice, brown sugar, about a tablespoon of brown sugar. Add that in there. And then I have some cinnamon. This is just a cinnamon I got in the bulk food section, but any cinnamon is fine. And so you're gonna add, I don't like a ton of cinnamon, depends on how much you like. Maybe about 3/4 of a teaspoon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. Sprinkle that in. And then I like to add a little bit of vanilla extract. So if you have the imitation, that's just fine too. Whatever you have on hand, if you don't have it, that's okay. You know what else is really good is to put in a little bit, maybe a tablespoon of maple syrup right in the batter. I'm gonna do 1 teaspoon of the vanilla extract. And then I'm just gonna whisk that up. Make sure that it's all incorporated really good. And so you can see, I'm gonna try to show you what the batter looks like here without pouring it out. So that's what it's gonna look like, a little flecks of cinnamon in it. Now in the meantime, turn your stove on. Now remember, ask your parents before you start this. Make sure that you're not using up any ingredients that you would need for dinner tonight. That's a rule that we always have in our house. And when you get your frying pan hot, you're just gonna put a big chunk of butter on it. So I'm just gonna cut off a big chunk of butter, put that on there to be melting while that's getting hot. Now, in the meantime, I want to have some fresh fruit with my French toast. So I'm gonna set this aside, and what I've done is I've cut up some strawberries here. You can cut up some other fruit too, and I thought I would show you how you could make a garnish for your French toast. So have you ever seen a strawberry where they fan it out like that and put that down as your garnish? So very carefully with a knife, you take your strawberry and hold it by the stem end, and you're just going to do some vertical slices straight down. Don't go all the way through, and go slow because you don't want to cut your hand. You're going to slice all the way down just like that. Keep your eye on what you're cutting. See, I have a little bit there that came out. And then you can very gently fan your strawberry out and have that, reserve that for a garnish. So I'm going to set those aside. And I'm going to grab my bread. Now the bread that I'm using today is just a store-bought bread. It's a French boulet, and it's already pre-sliced. I usually like to do a challah bread and slice it myself, or just some kind of an eggy bread. But this was what they had in the grocery store, and it's sliced already, so good to go. So I'm going to take a few of those slices out. And you can just use regular sandwich bread too. Actually, my kids sometimes prefer the regular sandwich bread over any kind of fancy bread. I'll usually do about 2 pieces at a time, and I'm just going to put them right here down in the bowl. Let them soak up all of that. Don't want to leave them in there too long. And then I'm going to get them ready to go on my frying pan. My heat on my frying pan should be right about medium. And I'm going to move the camera after I get these on there. And so I'm just going to put those right on that frying pan and let those cook for a minute until they get really nice and browned on one side. Oh, probably a couple of minutes. And then I'll flip them over. So yesterday I was able to set up my workspace here at home. So I have my own designated place where I can sit down and work on lessons for you, send you emails, respond to work emails, and so everybody in my house, we've been working on where are we all going to work, because now there are 5 of us here at home all day trying to do our schoolwork, trying to do our regular work, and just trying to stay out of each other's way so that we're not aggravating each other. I bet you're having the same kinds of things happen at your house where it's kind of tight spaces and everybody's all up in your business, right? So we've been working on that here at my house, trying to make sure that we are giving each other the space that we need, and that we are still spending some time together and doing some things together as a family as well. So I'm just checking the French toast right now. It's not quite browned on the other underside, so I'll flip it in just a minute. Now while that's cooking, you could get out your maple syrup. If you like to warm that up, then and get extra fancy. So you've got some warm maple syrup to put on it so it melts that butter when you put on top. If you have any other fruit that you want to add as a garnish. Some people, not me, but some of my kids love it. Some people love to put a little sprinkle of powdered sugar on top. You could do that as well. So I'm gonna grab my maple syrup out of the refrigerator so I'm ready for that. And I'm gonna grab a plate to be ready, because this is gonna be ready in just a minute. Oh, that one looks nice. There we go. Flip that over, and it's okay if a little bit of that egg batter runs out when you put that down. You see that? How nice and golden brown that is? It's gonna be delicious. Y'all, I haven't had breakfast yet. I've only had coffee, so this is smelling really good and I am really hungry. So I can't wait for this to be ready. When that's browned on both sides, you're going to turn off the stove. Now remember, ask your parents about cooking, especially if they're still having to go to work. They're not at home with you. So ask them about cooking, and watch the temperature on your stove when you're, especially if you're cooking anything with butter. If it gets too hot, it's going to start smoking and you'll get like a lot of smoke in your house from it, and it's just makes it a little harder to breathe and it's not very pleasant. So just watch that. Oh, these are done. So I'm going to turn that off, grab my plate, put these 2 slices on my plate. Now, we cooked this with butter. However, I still like a little more butter on mine. So I'm going to put a a little bit of butter here on top. And pour on my maple syrup and then give my garnish. Put my fancy strawberries on, and then I'm going to put a few more on too, just because I want those on there to have a little bit of fruit this morning. And so here is my French toast, my breakfast for this morning. I'm just going to grab a cup of coffee and sit down and have my breakfast before I get started on my work for the day. I hope you all are doing really well. I miss seeing you, and I know this is a really tough time. We are all going to be just fine, and I can't wait until we get to see each other again face to face. Have a great day.